If you walk into a correctional facility administrative office, you will find the centerpiece of institutional compliance sitting right on the desk, a comprehensive policy manual. Across Kentucky's jails and prisons, administrators frequently treat the Prison Rape Elimination Act, or PREA, as a finite project, a box to be checked once and filed away. This reflects a widespread professional misconception, the belief that drafting a strict zero-tolerance policy and placing it in that binder fulfills federal obligations. Relying on a static document creates a dangerous operational blind spot. It gives facility leaders a false sense of security, assuming the rules on the page translate to the realities on the floor. The reality requires a different approach. PREA compliance is an active, continuous operational obligation. The Department of Justice measures compliance through daily execution, not written intentions. Policy manuals offer no actual protection to the people inside the walls. Safety is only found in the continuous execution of a documented operational system. A written policy is entirely rigid, but a correctional facility is a dynamic, 24-hour environment. Federal standards dictate facilities actively engineer prevention strategies, execute rapid responses, and collect data. PREA interconnectedly governs intake screening, mental health access, disciplinary actions, and incident investigations. To understand how this works in practice, we need to deconstruct the mechanics of an operational PREA system and map it directly onto Kentucky's specific correctional landscape. Navigating modern corrections requires stripping away the paperwork illusion. PREA is an integrated system that demands continuous management. The foundation of this system is the federal framework established by the Department of Justice. These national standards mandate proactive abuse prevention and establish rapid, uniform response protocols when allegations surface. Kentucky's jail system has a unique structural reality. County facilities frequently house state-level prisoners alongside local detainees. Mixing these populations triggers a secondary layer of administrative expectations. By holding state inmates, local jails become subject to additional state-level regulations. Jail administrators are forced to satisfy the federal PREA definitions while simultaneously meeting the state's stringent mandates for intake screening and housing classification. The intersection of these two distinct regulatory frameworks requires one specific operational output: highly organized, exhaustively documented procedures. Administrators cannot navigate this layered matrix with informal practices or verbal instructions. They need formal, auditable workflows that hold up to dual scrutiny. To see how these workflows hold up under daily operational pressure, we have to look at the actual floor of the facility. The process begins the moment an individual arrives, at the first critical node, intake and orientation. The operational requirement is screening incoming individuals for precise risk factors, assessing vulnerability and potential to commit abuse. This data cannot simply go into a file. It must actively dictate the next node, housing classification, directing placement while feeding a permanent audit record. Alongside this screening, staff must execute early education. Orientation is the moment to explicitly communicate the facility's zero-tolerance policy and provide instructions on how to report abuse. Facilities that excel in PREA compliance do not rely on a single conversation. They repeat this education process multiple times and distribute accessible written materials to ensure comprehension. A compliance system uses intake as a strategic defense mechanism to prevent incidents before they occur.
When an incident does occur or an allegation is made, a completely different set of operational nodes activates. The system demands multiple, strictly confidential pathways for incarcerated individuals to report abuse without interception. If the population fears retaliation or believes complaints will be ignored, the framework collapses. Once a report is submitted, the system triggers concurrent responses. Custody supervisors and criminal investigators are notified simultaneously. Simultaneously, the facility must provide immediate, unhindered access to medical and mental health professionals. Throughout this parallel response, every department meticulously documents their actions, securing evidence and recording evaluations. Tight interdepartmental coordination is the only mechanism fast enough to protect a victim from further harm, while preserving the physical evidence required for a criminal investigation. It is easy to chart this out in a sterile operational diagram. The messy reality of a county jail environment is entirely different. Facility administrators face severe environmental friction points, aging physical architecture, strict budget limitations, and a lack of specialized staff. High staff turnover degrades systems, creating gaps in training schedules and leading to dangerous confusion regarding reporting duties. During high-volume periods, intake officers face pressure to process individuals quickly, leading to rushed, inadequate screenings. These are realistic challenges, but the Department of Justice and state auditors operate under a strict standard. They do not accept environmental constraints as valid excuses for systemic failures. Operating in a constrained environment necessitates highly redundant administrative record-keeping. When resources are thin, meticulous data collection is the only way to catch procedural gaps before they escalate. Acknowledging these limitations is the first necessary step in engineering a compliance system resilient enough to survive them. The ultimate stress test for a Kentucky correctional institution is the formal PREA audit. The central rule is simple. Auditors measure reality entirely through historical evidence. They discard spoken intentions. The auditor looks for specific artifacts to prove operations occurred: documented policy reviews, annual refresher training records, and routine employee background checks. They also require proof that administration conducts routine reviews of incident trends, and they want to see the specific corrective actions taken in response to that data. In an audit, the standard of proof is absolute. Missing documentation is treated exactly the same as a failure to perform the required action. Surviving a PREA audit is not an exercise in last-minute preparation. It is the natural byproduct of enforcing strict daily operational habits year-round. Looking toward 2026 and beyond, the standard for modern compliance in Kentucky is evolving. On the floor, this means staff instinctively execute response protocols without hesitation. It means supervisors can produce accurate incident logs on demand. A mature compliance system creates a closed loop, taking the hard data generated during an audit and feeding it directly back into operations to actively improve facility safety. Ingraining these protocols into hiring, training, and daily supervision creates a verifiable history of professional conduct. This level of transparency provides the evidentiary basis for institutional credibility. A binder sitting on an office desk represents nominal compliance. The everyday habits and documented integration of the correctional staff represent actual protection.